Hello and welcome to anyone and everyone who's decided to watch this video. Blockies, I got more blockies. I'm getting caught up on my Transformers blockies very fast. As you can see, we now have Wave Free of the Galaxy version, and this time I got the American International release, not the original Chinese release, which doesn't really matter, because all that's different is the packaging. And speaking of the packaging, something I do want to point out here that I didn't on Wave 2 when I should have, because I really like it, is the detail of having the Dinobot in their robot mode depicted in the back, coming out of like a little time vortex or something, so that they can have every character in the wave on the box art and still have an explanation as to how can this guy be here but also be there. It's silly, it's cute, and it's something they really did not need to do. Also, this wave is called the Autobot Run, which is the title of an episode of the old G1 show. Nothing about this wave has anything to do with that specific episode. Whoop! And also, here is the little individual box that the characters came in. You can see them all. Chase Soundwave. He is the guy who gets the metallic variant this time, and the metallic version came with Laserbeak. And here we go, picture of Soundwave, get that out of here. And now we will talk about the figures themselves, and we will start with the obligatory mold sharing characters for this wave. Seems to be a thing with every Transformers Blockies wave. And this time we got our Lambos, we got Sideswipe and Red Alert. Definitely becoming one of the most prominent Autobots ever is Sideswipe. He shows up in a lot of stuff, and I am curious as to why. I don't know if he's that popular, but somebody clearly loves him, so I guess he is. And how nice he is. He's very, very accurate to the animation. This might be the most animation-accurate Sideswipe toy ever to exist. And that's pretty cool to see. There are some very unique details to this Sideswipe design in the cartoon. The biggest one to me is how wide the extra bit of torso is, because normally when you think of Sideswipe's torso, you just think of the car hood, but in the cartoon, there was a huge chunk of abdomen area in the bright white there, and this toy definitely recreates that. And if you go to the back, he's got a little panel that goes on here that kinda looks like his roof, but it is unpainted. So, I mean, it does what it needs to do detail-wise. He's got the slick red panels that got like the kind of sunken in rectangle shape to them. That's pretty neat, and some extra detailing on there to make it more three-dimensional. I really like the way they did his legs. Did I just... yep. Popped off his ball joint by accident, but that's fine. It can just go right back on. I like the details of his legs, though. He has fake windows for some reason, which is not accurate to Sideswipe, but it adds some extra color there, giving him all those wires and exposed robot detailing. And I'm just calling them windows because this is basically what they did for the Dotsons back in Wave 1. So, and yeah. So maybe it's not meant to be windows on Sideswipe, but I'm going to keep calling them windows. He's got his tire in there, the extra bit of red to give him some more pop. And I love that they put his shoulder cannon on a ball joint, so you can pose his head any which way and it doesn't look weird. That's always been a huge problem with shoulder cannons on Transformers for me, is how can they see things, but instead the cannon can just move any which way you want it to, and that's very, very nice for playing around and getting any display photos you want of him. And yeah, definitely a nice looking little Sideswipey guy if you're a big fan of Sideswipe. And we got his repaint character, Red Alert. And Red Alert is a very interesting one to look at. And why is that? Well, we all know that Red Alert and Sideswipe are repaints of each other in the G1 continuity. But a lot of those 84 Autobots were redesigned for animation, as I was talking about with Sideswipe there. Whereas their 85 repaints, like Red Alert here, had their animation models changed back to look a lot more like the toy. So in the cartoon, Sideswipe and Red Alert were very, very different from each other. And this is very interesting to get the animation Sideswipe done up as Red Alert. He does have Red Alert's specific helmet. They did change that. But the rest of this is, without question, this very Sideswipe animation model body. And I mean, we've technically kind of seen this before because every modern version of the Lambo design is made as Sideswipe first and takes slight inspiration from his animation model, but there's never been anything as close as this Blockies has that has gotten the Red Alert treatment. And it's very interesting, but also kind of odd. It's a very unique item in that sense, if you're interested in stuff like that, which I don't know how much of the fandom is, but I am. I find it intriguing. And I've always kind of liked Red Alert's color scheme more than Sideswipe's. Even though G1 Red Alert is by no means my favorite Red Alert, I much prefer his Unicron Trilogy incarnations. Honestly, my favorite version of this design is G2 Sideswipe when the black and red are reversed, so hopefully Blockies gives us that one. But I'm really glad to have gotten a Red Alert. He also does not have a painted window here, but he does have the painted Fire Chief details. And actually, I'm talking about how I prefer Unicron Trilogy Red Alert. I do like that the G1 version is a Fire Chief's car. That is a unique thing we don't get a lot of in Transformers, whereas Unicron Trilogy 1 is just another ambulance guy. So, alright, Lambros. Well, not the real Lambros, because that is Sideswipe and Sunstreaker, but Lamboys, we'll say that. Here together, looking pretty good. Sideswipe and Red Alert. Nicely done, but definitely my least favorites of the wave. Not because they're worse, just because they're the ones I was the least interested in. So we'll put them off to the sides for now. And who should we look at next? Well, let's just get this guy out of the way. The repaint Ultra Magnus. And oh yes, I do love me some Ultra Magnus, one of my favorite Autobots. I got a lot of favorites. It's pretty easy to have a lot of favorites when Transformers has like 60,000 characters. But yes, Ultra Magnus are repaint of Optimus Prime because Optimus seems to have to be in every wave of Blockies. But I don't know, all of Wave 6 has yet to be revealed at the filming of this video, so maybe that will be the first one to not have an Optimus in it. But he is a recolor of Optimus, and that is fine, because I do love this depiction of Magnus. Sometimes I feel like I might like him more as Albino Prime than I do as the big armored-up guy, even if the big armored-up guy is pretty cool. There's just something so striking about the all-white, stock, one-color robot with that beautiful baby blue faceplate. It's really nice, and I'll actually quickly bring in Optimus here to point out another detail, which is that his chest window has been changed yet again, because the Optimus had just random techie details. The SG version had both the broken window and implications of a matrix, whereas Magnus has the implications of a matrix chamber, but no matrix in it, and I think that is a very fun detail. And as you can see, he's also got this awesome axe that is very reminiscent of the Free Zero Ultra Magnus toy, which is just a repaint of their Optimus Prime, but very cool, very tech detailing, also very War for Cybertron video game-like, and it is blue for Ultra Magnus instead of orange like an Optimus axe would be. And that's pretty cool, And he does also have the Optimus gun in gray, but for some reason, just like my SG Optimus, he holds his very loosey-goosey, only in this hand. And it is the hand, it's not the gun, it's the hand. So it flops around like crazy, so I don't really use it. I just have him being an axey guy, and you know what, that's fine. I like Magnus swinging around a big melee weapon. I would have rather it be a hammer to pay tribute to my favorite of all Transformers lores, TF Animated, but the axe is pretty cool. And another thing I gotta bring up, because I mentioned how this Optimus Prime mold, when I was talking about the first wave, really made me think of Dreamwave art. Well, if we bring in the little included POG card for Magnus, Shattered Glass Optimus incorrectly listed him as IDW Optimus, and this Ultra Magnus is listed as DW, obviously meaning Dreamwave, because that's the only real fiction this inner white robot Magnus has ever been in. So, I don't know, maybe the Dreamwave inspiration was intentional for this mold. Maybe it's not a coincidence that this Prime makes me think of Dreamwave. Maybe that's really the artwork they're basing this mold off of. Maybe they're basing all their Blocky sculpts off Dreamwave. Who knows? But yeah, Magnus, cool looking mold, great figure to have. I'm always down for some white Prime, albino Prime Magnus here, and I'm glad to have another version of him in Blocky's form. Now let's get him out of here, and let's talk about the Bug Boy himself, Bumblebee, the icon. Oh, he is here. He is the face of the Autobots for this wave, and he is pretty cool. I'm liking him a lot more than that Rise of the Beast Bumblebee that I got from the classic class. Definitely holds together a lot better, this Bumblebee, and he is very similar to Cliffjumper. Let's bring in Cliffjumper, in fact. But the one big thing, aside from the head and colors we all know to be different between Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, is the feetsies, because Bumblebee has the car feets, and Cliffjumper does not. He has the regular Blocky's feet, which, you know, it does look fine. It doesn't look bad on Cliffjumper, but knowing that Bumblebee has the car feetsies makes me wish Cliffjumper did. It really makes me wish. And we'll get a closer look at that Bumblebee face, because he's a very cute Bumblebee. He's got a bit of a smirk on him. Very cutesy, as Bumblebee should be. He's got his own window with some crossing stuff on there to give it a little bit more pop. And got the spare tire just like Cliff did. He's got a unique gun just for him, a pistol. I don't remember the pistol Bumblebee used in the animation looking exactly like that, but that's fine. We don't need one-to-ones here. He is definitely a good-looking Bumblebee, and he did come with a bunch of extra accessories. He came with one of those blast effects from the first wave. Nobody in Wave 2 came with one of these, but Bumblebee's got one, so he can go pew, 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 and stuff like that. He's also got one of the Energon cubes from Wave 2, just like what Cliffjumper came with, but it's actually colored like Energon this time, instead of just being a plain, clear block of nothing. It's like a real Energon cube. So Bumblebee can take that and just be like, whoo, that's the good stuff, yeah. And he also comes with two more things. He comes with a extra hand of a thumbs up, which for some reason is very hollow on this side and very weird looking, but you can pop that off, put that on, and have it be like, yeah, yeah. And he's only got it for that one hand. He doesn't have one for the other hand. Only on the left. And he also, last thing he comes with, because this guy comes with a lot of stuff, he's got a little communicator screen with a picture of Spike in front of Teletran 1, and he's like, what's the problem, Spike? I don't know, Bumblebee. I guess I messed up on our last date, and Carly's really mad at me. Don't worry, Spike. I'm sure you'll be able to figure things out. That's what Bumblebee and Spike talk about all the time. But yeah, really a lot of accessories with this Bumblebee. They knew to go all out with the biggest, arguably most popular character in all of Transformers, and nothing wrong with that. It's Bumblebee. I do love me some Bumblebee, and since I still have Cliffjumper out here, I am also going to bring in Jazz, because I have a personal headcanon that Bumblebee and Cliffjumper are twins, and Jazz is their cool older brother that gets them out of trouble. It's been my headcanon for years, ever since I discovered G1, and I used the 07 movie toys to play that out all the time as a kid, since Cliffjumper may not be in the movie, but he was in the toy line. So, having the three together in Blocky's form, it makes me feel happy having them together, so they can go out and have adventures. But yeah, let's get these two out of here. I already talked about their waves, and B can go over here, and we'll talk about the Constructicons for this wave. We got 2 more Constructicons. Oh yeah, building... Stand, B. Stand. Building up our combiner team that can't combine. And these guys are very interesting compared to the previous 2. We've got Bone Crusher here. Always kind of been the weakest looking Constructicon. Focus, 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 focus. Okay. There we go. No. No, stupid camera. Focus. Bone Crusher, I've always found him the weakest looking Constructicon just because there's so little purple here to balance out the green. It's like just his hands. And for Blockies, they did purple up his joints because I guess they knew. They knew the green was maybe a bit too much on him. But he does look pretty nice here. He's got some beef to him, some power. He feels like a muscly guy. It feels like it matches his name. I love how his digger scoop bucket chest can fold open and like reveal a quasi vehicle front. That is pretty neat. He's got his grimacing angry face. He's angry. He's so angry. He's so angry. And just generic details on his back. And the weird thing that I'm still not quite sure about is how they did the bottom legs, because obviously for both of these Constructicons, their legs are formed from the treads of their vehicle, so they added this kind of ribbing detail that kind of emulates treads, but it obviously doesn't go around the whole leg. Like, it looks alright. I think it looks better on that guy than this guy, but something about it, it's not 100% there for me. I'm not completely into that. Oh, and here's the gun. It's the same gun as the Lamb Boys, just in Constructicon green. Just a generic gun for the wave. And yeah, Bone Crusher, he's there. He's always been the least favorite Constructicon for me, and he still is. Now, Scavenger, on the other hand, he's pretty neat. He's got a very, very cool look to him in Blocky's form. I like the more compressed torso he has. His torso always kind of looked a little weird to me on the original. The juxtaposition of the all-purple pants with the green top looks very nice. Gives a very good color distribution to him. I like the little yellow and black stripes on his arms. I like all the details on his chest. His head is very generic, but I mean, that's Scavenger for you. I think he's got a lot more going on than Bone Crusher over there. Plus, he's got his little bucket tail that's fully movable, and that's pretty cool. Yeah. Like, he's not some incredible standout that I've got 6 million things to say about, but I do think he's a better Constructicon than his buddy there. I think he is, like, probably, like, the middle of the wave. Like, if I had to waste time ranking all 9 figures, I'd probably put him at 5. Yeah, Scavenger. And moving on from Constructicons to their kind of rivals, the Dinobots. We got another Dinobot this time. We got Slug. And once again, we have him in both his forms. And I really, really like the look of him. Ugh, tongue is getting tied every which way. I'm really growing to like Slug as a design. I can't say as a character, because he's never been an amazing character in the fiction, because it's always got to be about Grimlock, but his design is great. I'm really learning to love him. But that said, there is a problem with him, a problem that if it were fixed, then Robot Mode Slug here would probably be my favorite figure of this wave. And it is a similar problem if you watched my video on the Ultraman Blockies. Watch as I move up his shoulder. And yeah, his shoulder does not have any cuts made for the articulation, which normally all the Transformers Blockies do, as you can see here with Bumblebee. And that, I don't like that. Like, what is the point of even giving him the articulation if it's not going to work right with his construction, his armor? Same thing with the dinosaur, because like Grimlock, the two modes of the character swap parts for visual consistency, or share parts, I mean. And it's really, dang it, Bumblebee. It's really annoying for visual consistency, especially because everything else about this figure is amazing. I love his head sculpt. I love the way they did his legs with the unique rounded piece to emulate his transformation. And he's got the sword instead of the gun, which is interesting because them giving Grimlock a gun made me think they were trying to emulate the Studio series with Hasbro, where they were giving everybody their animation weapons, because Grimlock never had a sword in animation, and neither did Slug, but for some reason Slug got the sword instead of the gun. And, well, it's there. It's actually a pretty cool sword, though. I do dig it. It's pretty big. It's just, I do not really think of swords with Slug because he never had one in the cartoon, and his sword is not placed on some legendary pedestal the same way Grimlock's is for some reason by the fandom. But he definitely does look nice holding it. Stand up, scavenger. And yeah, I would like this figure a lot more if his shoulder pads weren't a problem, but he is still pretty cool, and his dino mode is awesome. I thought Grimlock was a cute tiny boy, and Slug is not. He's still pretty cute, but he's pretty big. He's pretty big and chunky, like he should be, because he's a dinosaur, and he can go rawr. Come on. There you go. He goes rawr, rawr. And he's got his little frills around his head and his horns. He's very simple. He's got a ball joint for the tail, ball jointed head. His front legs are basically just blocky arms, so they do everything a blocky arms can do. These ones got not ball joints, they got hinges at the hips and then ball joints at the feet, so they're a little less articulated in the back legs. But, like, you can get him standing up and being like, or you can just have him on all fours being a cool action dino, and that is nice. I definitely like the robot mode one more, but I do think the dino mode is a vast improvement from Grimlock. And to wrap things up, we got Soundwave, one of the coolest Decepticons ever, and he is here. He is a very, very nice shade of blue, and he does everything a Soundwave should do. He's got his battery guns, and he's looking pretty cool holding them. His shoulder cannon also uses the same ball joint trick that Sideswipe and Red Alert do, and I love it. It's great. Ugh, it looks so good. There's his back details. Oh, I didn't notice that. He's got a little blemish here from the sprue from being cut in the factory. Oh well, I don't really care. I love the details on his legs, so much variety here with the red and the grays and the yellows. It's just a nice little detail that pops really well. I'm pretty sure these shoulder details are accurate to G1 Soundwave, but they do make me think more of his evergreen designs. And if we look at his iconic door, he's got details of a cassette deck in there, and he actually does have a cassette deck in there. They made a unique little featureless cassette to put in there. It is removable, but it is like very, very tight. At least I think you're supposed to be able to remove it for display purposes, maybe. Or maybe it is just a decoration. But we'll just leave it in there, because it is just a blank featureless tape. It's not meant to be any specific character. But it's cool that they gave him it. It's cool that he can do the whole opening door thing if you need him to. And I didn't bring it up, but of course every character has the options of holding weapon to fist hands and wide open hands. It's just use whichever you want for whichever arm. And yeah, that is about it. We will try and get everybody back into focus for a second to do. And come on, red alert is blurry. Now everyone else is blurry. Red alert can be blurry, I guess. So yeah, that's it. Another Blockies wave, and it's pretty great. Blockies is generally really good stuff. And I got 3 of my favorites here with Soundwave, Bumblebee, and Magnus, so I'm really happy. And yeah, I think this is pretty good. Maybe the best so far. I mean, Wave 2 had a lot of good variety, but I think more figures made me be like, wow, this time around. But yeah, that was just me quickly going over the 3rd wave of Blockies, the Autobot run. And yeah, I think I've rambled on enough here. So thank you all for watching, and see you guys around.
Greetings, human germs. It is I, Skywarp. Lord Megatron demands that you subscribe to this channel. If you do, then you may be spared from the Decepticon conquest of Earth. You would be wise to do as he says.